Boing.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
Here, Jamie, it's Sam Russo, it's Jamie Carruthers, partners in crime from the dawn of time till the end of time. One horror movie a week. You and me, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sam. How are you doing?
Great. Did I mention it's final transmission time?
If you didn't, you just did.
I fucking did. Dicks are racing. Let me tell you. Here we are. One life, one chance, baby.
Yeah, better do it right.
Yeah. What's happening? What's happening your end?
Yeah, things are great. I'm in a new location. I've got a classic movie to talk about. I have no idea whether you liked it or not because you once again sent me the most bare bones fact. The movie has been consumed or whatever.
The passive tense. The movie has been watched.
Yeah.
I watched it. I definitely watched it.
Well, that's...
I'm glad you're excited. What movie are we talking about, Jamie? What the hell is happening over here? Somebody get our ducks in a row.
So, on this week's episode of Final Transmission, we are discussing the 1963 splatter incepting classic Blood Feast, directed by Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Blood Feast.
He's known as the Godfather of Gore, and that's because he made the first ever splatter movie, the first ever gore movie, and that is Blood Feast.
Yeah, you gonna hold that little fact under the microscope at any point?
Maybe.
I thought you would do a real serious, like, from the tip of your nose to the bridge of your nose, glasses push in slow motion. Be like, actually, I think you'll find the first Gar movie would be Encephalopod Boner Maniacs 9, released in 1842, or similar.
Well, I mean, I can't do that because this is the first gore movie.
Wow. Okay, so it's official.
Yeah. There was gore. There was blood on screen before Blood Feast, but not like this. You have to imagine what the people in 1963 were thinking when they saw this for the first time. And like, sure, you've seen a bit of blood in Psycho, black and white. You've seen a bit of blood, if you're a connoisseur of films across the world, in Hammer movies in the late 50s, early 60s, but you've never seen anything like this.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head there with your question, what were they thinking?
Is that a different, who are you asking?
There's definitely
that?
gore in this film. Yeah, exactly. There's definitely gore in this film, and quite a lot of it, I guess. I mean, yeah, the 60s audiences must have been literally fucking shitting their pants and running for the hills when this thing hit the, I don't know, cinema? Did it come out in the movies?
Yeah,
on the big screen?
It went out across drive-ins and CD cinemas all across the States.
So this is a movie primarily to make out to.
Yeah. So Herschel Gordon Lewis got his start making what are referred to as nudie cuties, which are sort of titillating proto-porny erotic stuff, which, you know, I'm a fan of. I think he is one of those, like, talentless auteurs, like Ed Wood. Do you know what I mean?
Right. You almost don't need to say anything else about it. You just nailed it.
The only thing that puts him above an Ed Wood is that he did something first.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you get mega points for being an originator, or someone who pushes / pioneers something new.
Yeah, so he was making movies like
He's got a great catalog. I don't need to watch any of them, but just based on titles, you know, The Alley Tramp, probably a classic. Black Love, probably unwatchable. Just for the Hell of It, probably about hell. The Ecstasies of Women, something he probably doesn't know much about. There's a lot here to really chew on, right?
Yeah, so he was making movies like The Adventures of Lucky Pierre, which is about a guy who sees some boobs every now and then.
He's got a movie called Boing.
Yeah, so I rewatched Boing for this podcast just so I could have it fresh in my mind.
For our sins. You do for our audience more than Jesus did for the Christians. You are truly a saint. Why did you watch Boing and try and pass it off as research for this? Because the two are not related, Jamie.
So, I mean, they are. So Boing came out in the same year as Blood Feast.
Right.
Basically, his the popularity of the nudie cutie was waning. So he was like, asking his cousin Marvin what the next big thing is. And turns out it was gore. But he was still trying to make the nudie stuff happen. Boing is funny because it's about a couple of guys who see the adventures of Lucky Pierre and they're like, we want to see naked women in real life. So they start a production company to make their own movie. And they audition loads of sexy ladies and then film this movie within a movie. Just so they get to hang out with nude chicks. And it's very bad and very silly.
I can imagine.
But it's fun.
But listen, if Bob Clark hasn't seen Boing, I'll eat my legs. There's no way Porky's exists without Boing, and I haven't even seen Boing. I'll tell you what though, boing is one of my favorite expressions.
Yeah,
I just want to put that out there.
It is up there with like, isn't it?
Yeah, Boing. I like woof a lot. Woof.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many great sound effects in that genre of in that patois that you could use as movie titles. You probably have. If there is a movie called Woof Boing, I would like to see it.
There is. I mean, I don't know if there is. I don't know why I said that.
There is.
Sorry, I was just channeling my inner Tom DeLonge.
Very good. Excellent Boxcar Racer reference there, Jamie.
Yeah.
10 points.
I stole that one away like a cat-like thief.
Oh, no.
Cat-like thief is maybe the worst song ever written in the history of songs.
It lays Tim Armstrong's vocal a little too bare for my taste. Wait, is it Cat-like thief that he's on?
Yeah, it is. And it is rough as sandpaper butthole.
Rough as a badger's toast.
Yeah. So, anyway, Herschel Gordon Lewis.
What a name. You don't get many babies named Herschel these days, do you?
No. Well, he wasn't.
Little baby Hush.
He wasn't born these days, though, was he? He's born in the 20s.
He was born in 1926, dear listeners, in case you're interested. And he died in 2016. And we're going to absolutely drag him through the mud today.
I don't know if that's true, Sam.
Well, I'm going to. Boing. What you got to tell us about Hirsch?
Well, I think it's interesting. If it wasn't for Herschel Gordon Lewis, we wouldn't have Russ Meyer, right? They obviously worked in a similar oeuvre, which means egg. And they...
Does it?
No, it doesn't.
I thought F meant egg.
It doesn't.
Oeuvre doesn't mean
That's
egg.
the joke, Sam.
Oh, sorry. That's a really good one there, Jamie. My favorite one of those is in the movie Poor White Trash, where the guy says, "My cousin's a lawyer. He's going to do it pro bono," which is Spanish for half price.
I love Russ Meyer, and the idea that those films don't necessarily exist without Boing and The Adventures of Lucky Pierre and Goldilocks and the Three Bears, spelled Bares.
Listen. I love when we get to attribute something that we love to the person before them who pioneered it. But listen, I think without Herschel Gordon Lewis, booby movies and gore would have still found a way into the public consciousness via cinema. So I don't want to give him too much credit. I think he's a bit of a right place, right time kind of guy.
Yeah, but someone's got to be there, and someone's going to do it badly, so someone does it better. That's the magic, I think.
That's such a great way to look at it. Someone's got to do it badly, so someone can do it better. That's a great point. Did you know that Monster A Go-Go has a rating of 1 on IMDb?
I didn't know that.
1.8. I'm so sorry. 1.8.
Wow, it almost doubled in half a second.
I know, I'm so sorry. I was doing my research earlier watching that movie, and I had to see how it was rated, and it's 1.8. It's a lot lower than this, a lot lower than Blood Feast.
Well, like I say, Blood Feast has the dubious honor of being the first, and therefore gets a bit of a pass from me, for one, but also generally culturally.
Yeah, it's quite well regarded in terms of how people review this and where they place it in the history of horror/gore, right?
Yeah. Stephen King says it's the worst movie he's ever seen.
Which is impressive because his books were turned into some of the worst movies I've ever seen. Sorry, Big Steve. It's just fucking... I haven't watched the new Salem's Lot yet. Have you watched it?
No.
I made that mistake with, every fucking Stephen King movie, getting excited about it, and then, they're bad.
It's not even look at the draw, is it? It's just okay, if it's Mike Flanagan, it'll be all right. If it's anyone else, kill yourself.
Yeah, and even the Mike Flanagan stuff, I don't know. Anyway, Listen, Stephen King watches a lot of garbage. He tweets a lot of bullshit. And if he says this is the worst movie he's ever seen, what's your one sentence response to that?
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't the worst movie you've ever seen.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
has written worse movies than Blood Feast.
Yeah, true.
So we're back in Video Nasty territory. This was
The oldest Video Nasty ever?
Yeah, this was on the Video Nasty list. And I get it, but it does not have to look quaint when you put it next to the fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It does, but not necessarily on the gore level. The gore in this is pretty fucking graphic at times. In terms of general terror, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is 5,000 times scarier. But in terms of how graphic the gore is, there's a few moments in this that I was really fucking surprised made it anywhere in 1963.
It is true. It is bonkers. Like I say, I can't imagine what the audiences thought when they saw this. Obviously, they liked it because he kept making them, and they still do to this day.
It's really important to note from the jump, I guess, that this movie is really fucking sexy and really fucking funny, as well as being very gory.
Yeah.
And that's the winning combo for for mass appeal when it comes to American audiences. I think we found over the history of the movies that we've looked at. Funny, sexy, and gory.
Before we get into the actual review, I just want to tell you that I once watched, I think it was a 6-hour porn compilation that was intercut with clips from movies. And every time it cut to a guy's dick, there was an insert of the guy being like, well, looks like one of those long, hard ones.
Brilliant. A good line. I think that comes in the movie, obviously, at a point where I wasn't 100% sure how funny the film was going to be. If it was going to... I don't mean it that way at all. Sorry, let me retract that completely. I didn't know if the film was being deliberately funny when that line was dropped. And then it sort of trickles in that you're not necessarily watching a serious piece of cinema.
Yeah, which is, I think it's funny based on the reviews that came out at the time when this was released. Basically called this the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
And
that sentiment is being echoed to this day.
Well, yeah. The idea that, these people tried to make a serious movie, they absolutely did not. They made it for, $24,000, which, is quite a lot of money in 1963, but it's not,
It's not, no. Maybe this is a piping hot take, but I think overall, I actually think they probably were trying to make a serious movie, but they absolutely couldn't resist the opportunity to have fun.
Yeah, maybe.
Anytime an opportunity to have fun pops up, there's no reason for that woman to make that hamburger joke at the end there. It just doesn't need to be there. But somebody was like, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if she was just like, looks like we're having hamburgers. And someone was like, yeah, you should do it. I think if it has that we can't resist fucking around vibe.
It's funny. Oh, a guy just tried to murder my daughter. Guess we're having hamburgers.
Yeah, that doesn't feel planned to me. Call me crazy.
Right, shall we do a synopsis and then get into our spoiler-filled review?
Let's do it.
I'll do the synopsis, Sam, because this is an easy one.
Yeah, so why the fuck can't I do it? No, go on. You can have this one. Low-hanging fruit for you.
Yeah. Suzette, right? Is that a fucking name?
The hardest thing about this movie is remembering anyone's stupid fucking name. Oh my God, are there some names in this movie?
Yeah, so Suzette is having a party. She's a big fan of Egyptian culture. She's a student of Egyptian culture or something. And so her mum hires local exotic caterer, Fouad Ramses, to cater her special Egyptian blood feast birthday party. But it turns out that Fouad Ramses is an acolyte of a made-up Egyptian goddess called Ishtar, and he doesn't want to make a fake blood feast. He wants to make a real blood feast. So he does, and that's the movie.
You made that 5 times longer than it needed to be. Well done. Keeping the listeners hanging in there. Yeah, hard not to laugh at every aspect of what you just said.
Yeah.
It's not as dumb when you synopsize it, I guess, as it is when you have to sit and watch it. It almost sounds like a plausible movie when you say it like that.
Yeah, the plot is a very loose thing in order to hang some deaths on.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with
actually,
that.
As far as plots go, we've had worse.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we've had worse. So why don't you give us your general feelings on the movie? Any memories you have of a first viewing, perhaps?
Do you know what? I don't remember my first viewing, but I remember being like, so I saw Serial Mom, the John Waters movie with Kathleen Turner as a serial killer. So I remember seeing that and being like, Matthew Lillard's character in it is obsessed with this movie.
Right.
And I was like, I have to see Blood Feast now. So I was probably 15, 16 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it and not hating it, but I can't imagine, besides the 5 death scenes, there was an awful lot there for 16-year-old me. Maybe, the little jaunty piano song while they're hanging out at the pool. The little saloon piano song.
Yeah, with the fucking sounds of the ocean dubbed over it for some reason. Fucking, it sounds like what I listen to go to sleep at night. It's ocean sounds while you splash around the pool. I thought when that pool scene came in, that was the party. Oh no. No. That was just them in the pool.
It's a silly movie, and it's not very good, but it's somehow fantastic. I don't know how we reconcile that, but we'll probably spend 2 hours doing it just now. Why don't we?
I think that's the brief, yeah.
I'm assuming you hadn't seen it before.
You're going to be astonished here. No, I had not seen it before. I watched it for the first time today, and I had to watch a few bits twice just to make sure that what I was seeing, I was really seeing.
All right, well, why don't we take a break, come back, and get balls deep in gore?
Balls deep in a blood feast. Fuck yeah.
Whoa, holy shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
Oh, shit. I'm back. You back?
I am back.
Back like flares. Here we are at the Final Transmission podcast, ready to rock your world with Blood Feast.
Yes. So, it's pretty clear that you didn't love it, Sam.
Let me correct you. I fucking love this shit.
Really?
This was dreadful fun. It was awful greatness. I
don't know if awful
there was
greatness
nothing about this.
Is a thing.
Yeah.
Awfully
there was nothing
good.
about this I didn't enjoy. Awfully good. That's it. Yeah. Nothing I didn't enjoy from start to finish. And fuck everyone. There were some really good bits. There were some great shots. There's some wonderful anti-acting. And there's fucking such a glaring thing happening in this movie that you either get and love the movie for it, or you just fucking want to scream and rip your eyes out and never watch it ever again. And I think that's where Stephen King was sitting. Do you know what the thing is that I'm talking about?
Go on.
This movie should just be called The Dumbest Cops on Earth. Like, the whole this movie falls apart without the dumbness of the cops, because you can figure this shit out in 2 seconds.
It's true.
And they're just like, well, I guess we'll have to keep looking for clues. Like, so dumb.
It's so funny because someone hands
it.
them the clue that unwraps everything. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they were.
Yeah.
Hey, 2 of the victims were on this book club list. Oh, but someone screamed over there, so let's just forget about that and move on.
Yeah. We found this book called Weird Shit Going Down in Your Town next to both the dead bodies. And all these Egyptian history workshops I keep going to keep talking about this huge feast party sacrifice where lots of young women are murdered with parts of their bodies chopped off and thrown into a pot and then fed at a ceremony that brings back this goddess. That can't be connected. Next. It's astonishingly bold to have the cops be that dumb. And they're parodied and caricatured the whole way through. I think it's fucking great how hard they telegraph the absolute full frontal piss takery of the popo in this film.
I love when he's like, Ishtar, Etar,
Etar.
Ishtar, Etar.
Nah. He literally sits there and says the words next to each other. What, after getting off the phone to somebody and talking about his Egyptian history knowledge, and then just moves on. I love also that you cannot figure out in this movie if they're in a city or a town or where the fuck they are, because they call it a city and then they say things like, round up every man with a record. What? That'd be fucking thousands of, round up every man over 40 with a record. What? There's like 4 of you. Yeah, just absolute quackery banana donk idiocy from the cops throughout this film, and that's what really kept me hooked.
I also really enjoyed that the cop is like, you might be safer with the killer than with me, because I'm going to fuck you in a car in public.
Yeah, the guy is definitely a handful. He's also way too old for her. What a surprise. Welcome to Hollywood.
He looks older than Fuad Ramses.
He does. Fuad Ramses, by the way. What the fuck kind of a name is Fuad Ramses?
Vaguely Egyptian sounding, I think is the vibe.
That brings me to my next question. Is he supposed to be Egyptian? Because I know he's an Egyptian caterer, but are they implying he's from Egypt? Or are they saying he caters with an Egyptian theme?
I don't know if Fuad Ramses is his real name or whether that's a name that he's adopted as part of his worship of
Egyptian shtick.
Of Ishtar. But
Egyptisch shtick.
I think they picked a man of a certain complexion for a reason.
Yeah, augmented some of that complexion a little bit with the use of makeup, which you shouldn't really do, I guess.
No, put a load of fucking talcum powder in his hair and called him a horrible
old
man.
The hair is incredible. The hair is amazing. As soon as I saw the sprayed, it's like powder sprayed hair, I was like, I'm fucking in on this guy. And he gives by far the best performance in the movie, I think. Which we shouldn't, but if we're going to in any way talk about people's performances in terms of quality, which I don't think it's fair to do in this film, I think he actually acts a little bit in this film, which is cool.
He gives an almost kind of like Christopher Lee, super over the top, really very arch. Like, it's stupid and very silly, but like, he's doing it. There's a thing happening in front of you.
I would almost go as far as to say not arch enough. He actually holds back a little bit for what I would have liked. Yes, when he's like limping and running and waving a machete, he's very fucking, Phantom of the Opera meets Hunchback of Notre Dame meets fucking everything. But there's moments where he could literally be like arching an eyebrow and looking at the camera, and he doesn't. He holds back a little bit, which I've got some respect for, I guess. Good old Mal Arnold.
When the mum goes into the exotic caterer's shop, which is a thing that happens in the high street, I guess. When she goes into
of like canned goods, what are you doing?
When she goes into the shop and she's like, I want to cater my daughter's party, and he's like, cool, let's do a blood feast. Ooh. And she's like, yeah, this sounds great.
I'm all in. Blood feast? She loves Egypt. Let's go. So good. It's to have something as bold as this girl and her detective boyfriend both love Egyptian culture, but they cannot for the life of them figure out the connection between these Egyptian-themed murders and her Egyptian-themed birthday party. What the fuck? That is some brave gristle to throw on the table, and I, for one, wolfed mine down. Superb.
Yeah. The deaths in this, I think, are pretty fucking spectacular. The first one with the legs getting cut off. It's worth the headline.
The headline, legs cut off.
The flimsiest newspaper ever as well. Like, it's just like one sheet.
Yeah, one sheet of toilet paper with crayon headline. I'm going to come off so bad in this episode because I'm going to say some shit that I'll probably regret. But not only did I fucking love this film, I found it really fucking sexy. I mean, it's really bad.
The kill where he rips her tongue out and it's that huge sheep tongue. But like, he spends so much time with his fingers in her mouth. It feels so sexually aggressive.
Yes.
And I mean, it's meant to be suggestive. There's no implication that he sexually abuses or sexually assaults any of the victims. But like, what else are we meant to take from that? He spends 45 minutes of a 60-minute movie with his two fingers wedging a woman's mouth open.
There's no reason, unless you're being deliberately sexually suggestive, to shoot that in that way. You could have the tongue literally being pulled out the mouth in shadow. You could shoot it from behind. You could do all kinds of, obviously. You could shoot all kinds of fucking angles to make that. But instead, they're writhing around. He's got two fingers in her mouth, like double fish hooking. It's charged, to say the least. I mean, it helps that this movie features, just a fucking lingerie catalog of 60s beauties. I mean, it's obviously a choice. Christy Fushi playing your friend of mine, Trudy Sanders. Where did she come from? And where did she go? What is your name, Cotton Eye Joe? She's good.
She is good. And she has that extended whipping scene.
Yeah.
Oof.
that's charged as well. I can't think of a better word to thinly veil how turned on I was by this complete shit show of a movie. Her last movie was called How I Became a Nudist, by the way. Rest in peace, Christy Fushi. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, well, like, obviously,
wow,
the nudist thing was before, like, people had the actual stones to be like, hey, do you want to be in this movie and take your top off? They were like,
yeah.
Let's go make an anthropological film at a nudist colony, so we can all look at tits and vaginas.
Yeah, and we'll slow pan and we'll put some romantic piano music behind it for no reason.
Yeah, what a dream.
Yeah,
the 60s, right? It's such a quaint but horny time. Like the sexual revolution.
It's horrible. Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, the way that I think about the sexual revolution when I'm hearing about like Woodstock or whatever, or like the hippies and stuff, is like, you know, we, as a culture, Western culture, sort of took back sexuality from like the oppressive and repressed sort of overlords that managed our culture at the time. But like, this is years before that. This is 6 years before the sexual revolution. This is, some of those were happening in the 40s and 50s. It's like, come on now. It was all primed and ready, and someone with a raging boner just had to come along and make it happen properly. And I think,
white man with a boner saves the day again.
Yeah. Oh, is that my
yeah?
The boner sign is up. I better quick to the boner cave.
Sign. Doing. Yeah, that's the TV show that we need to make. The problem, so if at times it felt a bit maniac, like it felt really icky, which again doesn't exactly hurt my boner, but the thing about Blood Feast is it's all surprising. Everything that happens is a surprise, which is for some people infuriating. For me, really welcome. It was so B movie. It was fucking F movie. It was way beyond B movie. But it was still doing stuff that shocked me, and it was still not just in context of the time, and not just in, like you said, in a social context of, you know, sexual revolution, what we're allowed to show on TV and cinema, etc., but genuinely, like, the cuts were surprising me. The things the characters were doing and saying were surprising me. So the whole it was slow. Don't get me wrong. It's parts of this are agonizingly slow, but when that's happening, you just pretend you're watching Garth Marenghi, and you're absolutely fine. I cannot imagine for a second that Richard Ayoade hasn't seen Blood Feast.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, Matthew Holness 100% has seen it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world where they haven't. Both of them sat down together in the grubby holes in Oxford Uni or wherever the fuck they went.
Yeah, it feels like some of it's ripping straight from this, which is, you know, great. I think the gore, the things that surprised me about the gore, the tongue scene is really graphic. Obviously, we've just done the tongue. Cutting the woman's legs off was a bit strange to me. But they have a scene where a woman has her face cut off and is in the hospital with no face. You don't see any of that, but again, that's interesting, an interesting way to do it, and kind of surprising in terms of the levels, the depths of gore that they're allowed to / get away with going to in the movie.
Yeah, and I think the gore is, I mean, when you look at it and you analyze it, it's silly and it's hastily applied and it's like, you know, not medically accurate, but it fucking just works, doesn't it? It just looks cool.
Yeah.
And like, it looks interesting. And obviously the blood is the reddest thing you've ever seen in your life. But
that's what they had at the time, though, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is. The only thing that pulled me out of it gore-wise is the final long slow pan over, I can't remember who it is, the woman who's face down on the table at the end. And you can see that they've literally just poured the blood on her. Like it's not coming from her, it's been poured all over her. And that was kind of slightly sloppy and lame when everything else seemed to at least be like slightly thought out. But apart from that, the gore all works for me. And because it's shot in this hyper-saturated, often way too close or just slightly jankily framed way, it just adds a slight edge to the gore that makes it somewhat more menacing. It feels a bit more, because it's so amateurish, it feels closer to home and a little bit more sticky, which I like.
Oh, it's just very silly. I think that Fuad Ramsey's also is way more of a slasher villain than Norman Bates.
What the slasher genre kind of becomes. Yeah, he's kind of a precursor to that, a bit of a foreshadowing for the whole maniacal slasher thing. Especially as like a smaller, creepier guy.
Yeah, it's like, obviously, when we talk about slashers and we talk about like the earliest iterations, obviously it is Psycho. But like, we don't talk about Blood Feast, I don't think, as much in that breath. And we absolutely should, because this is basically a slasher movie. And
it is. It's Police Academy meets the first ever slasher.
yeah. I mean, also technically a folk horror.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. Yeah.
I think it's dubious, but like, it's about,
Yeah.
worshipping the old
But it's all
gods.
dubious.
And like,
Yeah, it's all dubious. Like, there's loads of shit in like Crimson Altar that's fucking nonsense. Stuff that gets tagged folk horror doesn't actually have to be from real folklore, does it?
no. I have a question for you,
You can just
Sam.
say Egyptian.
I have a question for you, and I'm tapping into your specific expertise here because I know that you worked as a teacher for a long time. How much of lectures is just yelling things at a room full of bored-looking people that have no citations, no information beyond here is a broad and obviously not true stream of consciousness about the Blood Feast?
In my career, every lecture.
Like, I don't know what the
I think
state
you'd
of
be pleased to
pedagogy was
know.
like in the 60s, but like, surely
Yeah.
we were doing more in lectures than just yelling things at people.
Probably not in the 60s. Realistically, like, rote learning was massive then, and you'll be pleased to know pedagogy is advanced in some ways, but there's still a lot of old school fuckers out there who dictate and expect kids to copy, which is obviously frowned upon somewhat in a more progressive educational setting. But yeah, there's something of an adult education setting in that scene that I enjoyed, because I've been to and facilitated some adult education stuff, and quite a lot of the time you're just looking out at people who have very busy and difficult lives and who just want to be somewhere else, and you are just yelling nonsense at them. A lot of gigs I play, same deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that scene, among others, resonates. It's good, it's fun, it's silly, it's loaded with exposition, I guess, but also too long and a bit too slow and fusty. It's one of the movie's only sort of sticking points, really, in terms of nothing happening. But there's enough menace to kind of tick you along in those moments, I think.
Obviously, we are already privy to everything that Fuad Ramses is doing. We see him praying to Ishtar. So, like, we don't need this scene. If anything, it makes all the characters look dumber.
Yeah. I mean, the movie does that too much. And my big question for you is, what the fuck are they trying to achieve with that rundown at the end where he tells us everything we've just seen? What's Detective Fuckboy? What's his name?
Thornton, Pete.
Yeah, Pete Thornton at the end when after the spectacular death of Fuad Ramsey, which we'll have to talk about in detail,
Yeah.
how did you figure this one out, Pete? And he just tells us in horrible detail all of the dumb fuck bullshit that we've just seen for the last 100 minutes. What was the intention there? Is that supposed to be funny, or is that just a bad bookend to a bad film?
I think it's supposed to be funny.
If it is, all of the humor in this is delivered horribly, which is why it's so good. But I couldn't believe they were going through with the bit when he said, "Oh my God, how'd you figure this one out?" Like, I opened my eyes this morning and there it was. And no, he goes through it and he actually lays out every clue in the case and how he fucked it all up.
Like, he doesn't realize, even when he's figured out that the killer is an Egyptian caterer, he still doesn't make the connection that caterer. How many Egyptian caterers are there in this city? Like,
I know. Oh boy, the crime of the century, right? No one could have cracked this case, Pete. I hope he made chief.
the other cop is somehow dumber as well, like his chief.
He's definitely dumber, but I think it's because of his performance more than anything. He just spends so long, like, just staring sort of diagonally downwards and shaking his head. That is the first and only sign you need that somebody has no idea what they're doing in a movie, is when they rub their face too much or when they just look down and shake their head all the time. That's like, school play 101. Like your school play teacher, when you do fucking whatever the nativity tells you, don't do those two things because people will scream amateur from the audience.
I sort of imagine that like we're watching somebody play LA Noire and they don't know the controls. So he just keeps pressing doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's either that or I just feel like a lot of these people are doing a favor for someone. Like they're not actors, and we've done lots of movies where people in them clearly aren't actors. They're not professional. They're not relying on this to fucking build a career and pay their mortgage. But these are just like, you know what, Terry has a long grey coat. Let's get him in the movie. Like that's as far as it goes.
I mean, obviously, most of the performances are terrible.
Yeah,
And like that's absolutely part of the fun. But
of course.
there's a moment where like, well, there's a couple of like flubbed line moments that stay in, and they're so funny. There's like
So many.
that butcher, that maniac butchering those girls. Like
That butcher maniacing those girls. Yeah, there's so much of that. So many little, just tiny mistakes that are so telling that you just read the entire thing wrong.
yeah,
It's great. It's almost like I go see a lot of Amdram because I got a couple of buddies who do it, and I kind of love it when people fuck up and they have to be fed a line because it's such a horrible moment of tension that just yanks 150 people in a room out of the moment that they were just in.
yeah.
And this movie was full of those. It was just like, holy fuck, how did you leave that shit in? And that again, that's why I loved it. Do you know what? I am absolutely certain that I'm not in a place where I just enjoyed this because I was in the mood for it, because I was not in the mood for this kind of film at all. And that's how strongly anti-movie it is. It snapped me out of my shit mood and gave me an absolute fucking hoot and a holler.
It is a who. I don't know how. Like I see a lot of negativity out there, but I just don't get it. Like it's so hard to me that you would watch this and be like, okay, I find this objectionable. Like it's super quaint, even with like its little frosting of sexuality. It's like it's super 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 quaint. I find it impossible that people hate it. Like you say, there are stretches of boring, but that's when you get to watch the worst actors you've ever seen deliver some of the worst dialogue you've ever heard. And like
Exactly.
What's not to love?
I mean, that is somewhat of a blood feast in and of itself. Like, that shit is fun as hell. I'm not watching Blood Feast for the gore, really. About 5 minutes in, I'm in like, oh, this is fucking stupid territory, and I'm relishing dumbness, which is something I think you have to be of a certain disposition to do, and I think this movie is really easy to completely dismiss and kind of hate if you're not that person or you're not in that place.
Yeah.
Which, is fine. Not everything is for everyone, and there'll be people listening to this right now who think we're fucking high to even slightly enjoy this. And that's fine.
So
do your worst, dickwads.
We've talked about things that we enjoyed in like an, overall not good movie. But there are some things in this that I think are genuinely good.
Yeah.
And one of those things, and you may disagree with me on this, is the music.
Oh, no, I'm with you.
So some of the music is terrible. But like the main theme, the ba 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 ba, like it's great.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It feels like Night of the Living Dead. It's got gong elements, which I love. It scared me. It was really, really eerie stuff.
There's something in the space between those notes that leaves so much room for like dread to creep in. And it's
a powerful sense of dread, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what Superhand said.
It is,
it's great. There's some bad harpsichord shit in there but mainly I don't like that because I don't like that in any film. I've never seen someone do that like, oh, it's like The Doors. I've never seen or heard anyone do that and have it hit me in any way, shape or form. Alongside that,
I went to a club night once in the Ruby Lounge where we hung out that one time. And before the club night started, there was a Doors tribute band on, and it was the worst fucking night of my life. There's only one thing I hate more than the Doors. It's the fucking Doors tribute band. Manchester's finest Doors tribute band.
Suffice to say, I fucking hate the Doors. If a tribute band started up, holy shit. Depending on how much I'd had to drink, either me or them are having a terrible night.
Yeah. The moment that I really, really enjoy the Blood Feast theme is when we're having that sort of jaunty piano, hanging out at the pool, saloon music.
Again, what are you doing? But yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
And then like the theme just sort of comes over the top of it, like washes over it. And it's just like slowly eats this jaunty music with its horrible downbeat, slow, crunching, drudging, monotone. Oh, it's great. It's so clever.
I think you just answered my question, actually. Do you think they deliberately teed up that ludicrous piano music? Nobody listens to like saloon music while they're being a hot young woman splashing around in a pool.
Yeah.
Like, you imagine like girls in bikinis getting ready for the pool party. What should we listen to? Taylor Swift? No, I've got this jaunty old piano music from an old Western saloon we can listen to. Do you think they deliberately teed that up to crush it completely with the like glacial drone of the main theme? Do you think that was the idea?
Yeah, I completely think that's what they did.
Yeah. Unless we're giving them too much credit again. That was just stock music that they had laying around.
Well, no, because so Herschel Gordon Lewis composed the music for this movie.
Interesting.
And there are at least two bits of music in this that I think are, I mean, you know, that minor second interval has been around forever. But like,
Yeah.
there are at least two moments in this where it is just the Jaws theme. And I have to wonder whether, like, even with the horns and everything, like, I have to wonder whether Spielberg and John Williams sat down and were like, this thing here, we want that. Because we've heard that minor second interval forever. You know, it goes back to like Beethoven and shit. But like, not like that. Not like da na na na.
Yeah. Yeah, the instrumentation on that is interesting in Fingers in the Mouth scene, because it's wobbly and ghostly. It sort of, I think that shit gets sampled by a lot of bands later on who want that kind of creepy, eerie, classic haunted house type sound. So there's some interesting juxtaposition there, because it's graphic murder being set to eerie, wobbly, synthy type sounds. What is that played on? What the fuck is that?
There's that like harpsichord sounding bit, isn't there?
Like an organ or something. Yeah. Must be an organ. Yeah, it's in it a lot. It's creepy as hell. It's stripped back, reductive, chilling stuff. And then it's set next to what's basically a dick joke. It's great.
Yeah. It's all so silly, and like you said, that there are shots that are nice.
Oh god, yeah. From the moment he flees at the end, which again is put to some good music there. There's some incredible shots. I mean, this is shot in Miami, so you've already got a bit of a feast for the eyes, but it's this weird edgeland suburban Miami where obviously the grass is bright green, you've got palm trees, but then you've just got sort of abyss where this township ends, and you're just out into like, you know, swampy, beachy nothing. And the specific like powder blue of the police cars and the blue of the uniforms and the blue of the sky and the kind of, there's like a band of gray white cloud, all of that. There's some low down shots of Fuad Ramsey fleeing that are just fucking perfect. All of that shit is visually pretty amazing. It's not framed particularly well when he's running away at the end, but after he's been munched up in the garbage, fucking
truck?
What do you call it? I just want to say bin lorry, but no one's going to get what that is. The garbage truck. Yeah, the shot of the hand, all that kind of. I don't know. There's a color palette there that really appeals to me, and it's just really beautifully shot.
Yeah, I think like what that is completely accidental, and
yeah, it's just daylight.
Yeah, it's daylight and the technical process, just like creating these insane things, like the static shot of when he's Fuad Ramses is in Suzette's kitchen and is like, hey, lie down and close your eyes, I'm not going to stab you. And she's like, okay. And then and like she's there in that pink dress with those pink heels, and she's lying and her legs are sort of dangling over the end. It's like, it's so cool to look at.
It looks brilliant. But yeah, the pink heels, she's got the green neck pillow, the kitchen has that kind of like washed out green blue background, and there's all the wood. It's so 60s, but again, it's fucking sexy cinema. Like, and then we get the POV shot that we know is not a POV shot because her eyes are closed. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's great. And then the mum just walks in like, what the fuck?
It's because it takes 20 minutes.
And I love that he just runs away. He doesn't have a plan. He's just limping off. And the camera does that thing where it like zooms out in increments to make him look fucking ridiculous while he's running away. So good. Yeah, there's stuff in this film that I really love in terms of the visuals. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I even like the fucking cops.
I think the thing with where it zooms out is because Herschel Gordon Lewis also operated the camera, and probably doesn't really know how to operate a camera. I think if you watch Boing, you'd be like, oh god, this is a documentary about Herschel Gordon Lewis. Like,
okay,
there's a moment in Boing when a couple of the characters are talking to the cameraman, and one of them's like, what's this? And he's like, that's a lens cap. And he's like, oh, cool. And the other one's like, where did you find it? And he was like, over the lens.
I knew where you were going, and it's still funny. See, the problem we have here, bud, is this is exactly our kind of humor. That makes us. I mean, we're not supposed to be unbiased, but I'm gonna fucking suck the chrome off this trailer hitch when it comes to praising this movie. It ticks too many of my boxes, and people are gonna hate us for it. But I think we're doing a fairly balanced job here. Neither of us are saying this is a must. Well, it might be a masterpiece. I don't know. It's at the bottom of the day, at the end of the game. It's just funny, dude. It's just a fucking stupid thing to enjoy.
Yeah, I think it's good. I just think it's good. It's not good, but it's good.
Yeah, there's really not much more you can say than that. There's some great. The beach murder is fucking awesome. That whole scene is lit in that we've got one light and it's genuinely nighttime on some sand, and we're just going to shine it on these people. And they put a snake there, and they just do lots of stuff that's like nonsense but still scary. So it shows a pretty good sensibility for what is scary.
Yeah.
After the tongue ripping out scene when her head falls sideways and blood just trickles out her mouth, you're watching shit come to fruition from the mind of a person who knows what scary is. He's not a complete fucking idiot. He knows what he's doing. And it's scary enough and funny enough to be entertaining for for how many minutes? What is it? 90?
It's
how long is it?
68 minutes.
68 minutes. It's wonderfully short. Much respect for making a 68-minute movie. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck do you want for 68 minutes of absolute gibberish?
Going back to the beach scene that you mentioned, like, I think that's a great scene. I again wouldn't be surprised if David Fincher was like, let's use a little bit of that for Zodiac.
Sure.
Because like
I could buy that, yeah.
the super weird angle, the super like low angle of the camera is exactly like some of those shots in Zodiac of like, I mean, obviously in Zodiac he recreated the areas where the Zodiac killed. He went to the hills that it happened on, and the landscape was different, so he like put trees in and shit. But like the angle is straight out of this, so I think he must have done it. That scene is so funny, where the girl's like, "There's a murderer around here," and he's like, "I don't care, just fuck me." And then now she's dead, mate. Like, you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, and his performance when he's talking to the cops is fucking brilliant. Probably the only hysterical performance we get in the whole movie in terms of hysteria, not hilariousness. But he's really fucking going for it, like writhing around in the cops' arms and screaming. It's fucking great.
Yeah, the mum and dad as well, so funny.
Who's mum and dad?
It's her mum and dad, isn't it? When they're so the mum is like screaming and screeching, and the dad is like, "Our dead daughter would want us to help the police."
Yeah, now I remember. There's so much uber blase stuff about death in this. Like when people die, they're just like, "Oh well, she's dead." Move on. Like fucking when she dies, the girl dies in the hospital, and the doctors are just like, lunch. They just leave. Like fucking Jesus. Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, there's the moments when Fuad Ramses is talking to Ishtar, is like praying to Ishtar. His whole demeanor changes. It's almost like Mile Arnold can act. Almost.
It's pretty fucking close to acting. Yeah. And that's high praise in this movie. He's cool. I like his whole visual shtick. I think he's actually pretty unnerving as a villain. Not enough to really be scared of him, I guess. But that's the weakness of the performers around him, in my opinion. I just think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they could have drawn some lines on his face or whatever, like that fucking terrifying ghost in the House on Haunted, the House on Haunted Hill, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
but they didn't bother.
His general greyness is fun. I think that against all the, like you said, the Technicolor, his kind of grey hair and grey eyebrows and grey suit and everything kind of goes blue. And I think there's just something extra creepy about those moments when he's lit in that way. But yeah, I mean, am I right in thinking there's a sequel to this?
There was a sequel that came out in the 2000s called Blood Feast 2: All You Can Eat, which fucking sucks.
Yeah. Oh, really?
There was a remake that came out, I don't know, 7 years ago. Fucking sucks.
Mm.
There is a spiritual remake called Blood Diner that came out in the 80s, and I fucking love it. It's amazing.
I've been recommended that before.
Huge.
I should watch that.
Huge fan. It's like it's Blood Feast but dialed up to 1988. Like,
Oh boy. All right, I'm in.
and like it has that sort of teen sex comedy flavor of like 80s horror.
It looks fucking shit. I'll give it a go.
No, I rate it. Okay, Sam. Anything else you want to say before we go to a break and give our final thoughts?
Just that everyone's too hot in this film. It's really upsetting.
I mean,
Makes it even harder to watch somehow.
not everyone. William Kerwin looks like everybody's dad.
Yeah, but he's, I don't know, oddly handsome. He's got a bit of a David Morse thing going on, which for me is attractive.
Really?
A little bit, I think.
I've never seen it with David Morse. I like David.
Oh, really? What, in terms of him being hot?
Yeah, I like him as an actor. He was good in House when he was the guy that was trying to fuck up House's shit.
Yeah, he's great in The Green Mile. He's great in loads of shit, but I find him quite visually pleasing.
Yeah, I mean, he's massively overshadowed in The Green Mile by
Everyone. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, Green Mile's cast shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. You're not allowed Sam Rockwell and Barry Pepper in the same fucking movie as Tom Hanks. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Calm down. Yeah, it's brilliant.
even like Doug Hutchinson.
It's got Harry Dean Stanton in it.
Yeah, it's got Harry Dean Stanton in it. It's got
Come on.
Graham Greene. Like
Yeah.
it's a crazy cast. James Cromwell.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
There's just no. The hits keep humming. The hits keep humming.
But like, I think that David Morse's performance is massively overshadowed by Doug Hutchinson, who he's the guy that doesn't put the sponge on the dude's head. And he's like,
Oh, God. The guy that plays Percy Wetmore. That guy is fucking incredible.
yeah, he's amazing. Like, I can't believe he fucking tanked his entire career by marrying a 16-year-old girl. Like, he was amazing.
I mean,
he's Toombs in that episode of The
he's
X-Files.
Toombs, yeah.
He's Looney
Yeah.
Bin Jim in that Punisher movie. Like, he was in Lost. He's fucking great. And like,
I mean, in fairness, driven wild with desire for a 16-year-old, he was probably, I know exactly what he did. He said to himself, who's got away with this before, and can I? And he looked up to the skies and he went, I know. Jerry Lee Lewis married his 14-year-old cousin and then became one of the kings of rock and roll. I think I can pull this off. And then he didn't.
Well,
And goodbye career.
he did it legally. He had the parents' permission. He was like 40
Yeah.
and Courtney Stodden was 16. The thing that went wrong really is that they tried to monetize it and they did like a reality show. And it was like, look how cool I am. I'm married to a 16-year-old. And she was like, look how cool I am. I'm married to a 40-year-old character actor.
Who's, in your opinion, who's cooler in that scenario, Jamie? You got to pick a side.
Courtney Stodden is the victim, so let's go with her.
Let's say that she's cooler because she's the victim. Tell you who's not particularly cool, her parents.
Yeah.
Fucking heck.
Yeah, I don't know how much they got
Jesus.
paid to say yeah, but
To sell her daughter to a 40-year-old man. Oh, fuck. No, not good. Not a good story. And not a good look for you, young man. Good actor, bad life.
yeah. I would recommend anyone that hasn't seen Punisher Warzone to go and watch it just so you can enjoy that Looney Bin Jim, which is the character's actual name, that performance. It is one of the all-time stupidest performances ever committed to DV video.
Is it?
Yeah, it's got the main guy from The Wire in it as like Jigsaw. And what's his name? He's Welsh.
Dominic West.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is
He's
his?
Welsh. I didn't know that.
He is Welsh. McNulty, not McGinley.
When I think of The Wire, I'm wired. to think of Wendell Pierce. I can't think of anyone else.
You don't think of Stringer Bell?
Well, Lance Reddick, I guess.
You don't think of Idris Elba?
Huh? Is he in The Wire?
Yeah, he's Stringer Bell.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not a big Idris Elba fan, to be honest.
I remember once we were watching The Wire with it was me, Kieran, Doug, and Ellie Davis, and we were all watching The Wire. And it was that scene where the dude gets his dick out and like flops it around. And guy's dick is massive.
Yeah.
And we were all like, whoa, that dude's got a really small dick. And Ellie was like, really? And we were
Love that. That is psychological terrorism.
just like imagine being in a room with three guys with hogs that make that guy's dick look small. Like,
look at the size of that little maggot. Holy shit.
if I had a dick that small, I wouldn't get it out on TV. We were just like, we're going.
I'd kill myself if my dick was only 14 inches long. Are you kidding me? Oh, boy. So here's a question for you. If you could just do a magic and cast any quote unquote modern actor in this film, like not a remake, not a requel, not a prequel, just somehow do magic and have them be in the film, who would you drop into this movie universe? You can either invent a role for them or you can swap them out for somebody else, but I think you should just add them. Just have them be there.
Low key, in my brain when I was watching this, superimposed Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey on the cop characters. I don't know why.
Wow.
I don't know why. But like,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about True Detective, and I thought it would be funny if it was Russ Cole and that other guy as the detectives. Because I mean,
Fucking hell.
the mystery element of it, of which there is very little, but the mystery to the cops is kind of similar to the plot of True Detective. So
yeah, in a way, I guess. Yeah.
So I just thought it would be funny if they were the cops.
You'd be closer to home with Laurel and Hardy. Holy heck. You hit such a good point there. Like, there is no mystery in this movie to the viewer whatsoever. Yet to the cops, what a puzzler. And that's why there's no need for the sum up at the end. The only time you need that sum up is when there's been a bit of murk for the viewer.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm not 100% sure how this happened. Then you need the sum up in like Poirot or something with sophisticated mystery writing. You do not fucking need it in a movie where you've known what's happening from the second minute of the film.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a fucking quick snooze and come back and rate this fucker.
Yeah.
Will you give it up, man? Nobody's out there. We're alone. Oh no, there's somebody out there. I'm picking up all this crosstalk.
How do you feel about social media, Jamie?
I feel that if you wanted to prove that you loved us while lying on a beach, while there's an Egyptian-themed murderer out there, I would want you to go all the way to our social media accounts, TikTok and Instagram, at FT Horror Show, and follow us. Interact with the posts.
Fuck yeah.
Engage with our shit. Share posts to your stories or whatever you have to do. And I think you should also pull out your little phone, your big phone. It's the future. Little phones are an old thing now. Pull out your massive phone that's basically a tablet. Go to wherever you're listening to this on. Give us a little review. Give us a little rate. 5 stars, 4 stars, nothing less. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you've got automatic downloads turned on. Make sure you tell a friend. Otherwise, your legs going in the oven.
Yep. Otherwise, what's the point? Go on social media, put your fingers in my mouth and double tap my tonsils and like our shit. Just do it. Go on. It's easy. You can do it right now.
Yeah. Well, wait.
You done it?
Have you done it yet? You doing it?
Have you done it yet?
You
doing it?
You doing it?
Done. Well done.
Cool. Great work. All right, Sam. Do you want to sum up first?
Yeah, because it's easy. Blood Feast was a welcome surprise. I thought it was going to be fucking nonsense bollocks. And while it was also simultaneously incredibly fun, occasionally creepy, sometimes genuinely scary and unsettling, wholly sexy, and pretty satisfying from front to back. Some low points, some boredom, which is one of the worst crimes you can commit in a horror movie, I think, but offset against the most wackaloony, bonkers bullshit dialogue you've ever heard in your life, some absolutely disgusting performances, and a bad plot somehow made a great viewing experience. It's easy to watch because it's short, it's available on YouTube, and you will probably walk away with a little bit of piss in your pants, which, a good thing, I guess. I enjoyed it. You'll enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you're probably not going to enjoy hanging out with me and Jamie.
Go on, what's your score then, Sammy?
I'm going to give it 2 fingers in 1 mouth. Don't know what that translates to. It was good. It was finely good. Yeah, a bit distracted by the babes. I don't know what's wrong with me at the moment, but it was Babe Fest 9000, and that's what I came for.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 fingers in 1 mouth is my rating.
Sounds good. I mean,
how do you feel? In summary,
it's hard for me to think about Blood Feast and not think about everything that came afterwards. Like we say, someone's got to do it first, so other people can do it better. And this is the first, and it's great. Before this, the most violent thing I can think of is that scene in Dracula 1958 that we talked about at the end, where he's got the googly eye. The googly eye scene is the goriest thing that existed until this movie.
That's interesting. I guess I hadn't realized that was pre-Blood Feast, but yeah, okay. Yeah, and that is fairly gory. It's a head melting, close to real time, quite close up, pretty openly.
Yeah, so that was 5 years before this. That was 58, and
it's also a vampire, so it's it's still kind of in fantasy territory. Do you know what I mean? We don't see Dracula as a human being when they're being gored off, whereas this is lots of innocent women being gored.
It's not only human people, but it's women, the most defenseless people in the world in 1963. I just love it, and the legacy of it is wonderful, and the fact that it exists as it is, even if it didn't create an entire genre, imagine if everyone watched this and was like, do you know what? Nah, let's not do that.
Yeah, this is dumb. Let's not pursue. Well, there's a universe where that happened easily because it is so dumb and it is bad. Who looked at that and was like, wow, this has got promise, guys. We could really we could make $1 billion industry out of this premise.
The people that looked at it, the people that looked at it and thought that were the people who were exploitation producers who were like,
yeah,
I go back and forth on whether I think it's punk as fuck that the exploitation exists, because it exists exclusively to make money, but it exists also to be the exact opposite of the mainstream prevailing Hollywood mindset. And it's Hollywood are making movies that people like, but that's not what people really want. What they really want is 3 chords and some blood. So I go back and forth on whether I think it's punk as fuck, because it isn't. It's massively financially motivated, but I like the idea that there's a punk element in there.
Well, the clue's in the name. It's exploitation. So that tells you everything you need to know about it. Exploitation, historically, pretty profitable.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, and the exploitation genre had been around since 1913. I think the first movie was called Traffic in Souls, and it was about human trafficking, white slavery. But yeah, Fat Mike's a millionaire, right?
What's the connection here? Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Fat Mike would argue that Las Vegas is the punkest city in the world. So you guys would probably have a real great chat. The less said about what is and isn't punk, the better for me right now. I just don't fucking care. All I know is Blood Feast, good.
Yeah.
Punk, complicated.
Like I say, I respect it as an artifact, but I also fucking love it as a movie, as an experience, as a thing, as a thing to watch, as a time to spend 67 minutes in a weirdly lit room with some people that are yelling at me because they don't understand what acting is. People who are dying, but you have to turn it down because it sounds like they're coming, and you don't want your neighbors to think that like you're just watching very loud pornography.
Like 2 in the afternoon, yeah. But that's the thing, right? It feels like something that you should be digging out of a bin, but for some reason we're handling it like a museum exhibit with white gloves. How has it elevated itself to the point where A, should even exist, and B, that we're talking about it with genuine reverence and affection?
You're so
Clever
right.
film.
You're so right. Like you could easily view it in the fucking Museum of Modern Art, or you could find it by the side of a railway in your hometown. Like,
Yes. I'd be like, what fucking dumb dick kids made this piece of crap? Exactly. And by the way, thanks for the dig that my town doesn't have a train station. I appreciate that.
it's okay, mate. One day, HS2 will blow right past you.
Flatten the whole town. Fuck me, I hope. So that's fucking, what a feast of blood.
Yeah, I haven't given my rating yet.
Oh, fucking hell. Get on with it. Don't bore us. Get to the chorus. What are you rating it?
I would give it 25 comically large sheep's tongues out of 26 regular sized sheep's tongues.
Holy fuck, that's a lot of sheep's tongues.
It is.
That's a high rating.
I don't know if your rating is high or not because I don't understand
No, it's probably a 5 out of 10, realistically. My rating, I'll go back. I rate this 5 out of 10. How about that? All right, look at it this way. If the titular blood feast was a 5-course meal, I would last 2.5 courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rate it like it is genius because it flat isn't. But I really fucking like it. So fuck you, Ben Small, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's gonna hate it, isn't he?
Yeah, everyone will. This is gonna be not a popular episode.
Well, that's Blood Feast then, Sam.
Yay!
All that remains to say is go to redscare.com.org.ac.uk. What's the website?
.net.
There you go.
Redscare.net. If you are looking for some new punk rock, you could go far more astray than if you ended up at redscare.net, the punk rock equivalent of finding a movie by the railroad tracks in your town. We got a new Arms Aloft EP.
Yes.
Just do yourself a favor and check out Broadway Calls. Why the fuck not? Listen to some good music. Pump dicks, not... What is it? I always get it wrong.
Pump sheep's
pump
tongues.
fist, not gas.
Pump your fingers into a girl's mouth, not sheep's tongues.
No. Oh, no. You're going to get us in trouble. Go to redscare.net now and enjoy your life.
Enjoy it or die.
Before Jamie takes it away.